Well, I guess that any appointment that Daniel Levy makes in certain Tottenham fans' minds will never be good enough because over the last 2 or 3 years, there's not a lot gone right for Tottenham.
Yeah.
With the exception of getting into the Champions League last year, which Conte did for them. I think it's a decent appointment. I think he's a very good manager. I think he'll play a brand of football that will appeal to the Tottenham fans. Obviously, he's coming into a league where it's very competitive, but this is a man that's gone into Scottish football last year, scored 114 goals in 38 games, so his team scored 3 goals a game. You can only beat what's in front of you. He's going to get a better group of players, arguably, maybe not in mindset right now, but certainly technical ability at Tottenham. So I think, and I have this real admiration for the Australian outlook. I think when you get a decent Australian working for you, they're this character and this ability to be able to manage up, manage sideways, manage down. They have a desire to overcome obstacles rather than use them as an excuse for not being able to achieve the things that they've been brought in to achieve. If he goes to Tottenham, I think he'll be all right. I don't know what all right looks like for Tottenham, because ultimately, from the point of view of Daniel Levy, it means top 4, it means the economics, and it must mean winning something. But you can't make a case anytime soon for Tottenham winning very much.
Well, I think you're right, Simon. I think he'll knock them into shape, though. That's for sure. I mean, as an Arsenal man yourself, Mr. Keown, does it alarm you that this might get it right at Tottenham?
Well, I have respect for all managers, but I thought Conte was an outstanding manager, and that was my biggest fear, actually, because he was capable of doing special things. Interesting with Daniel Levy, I think 2021 was talking about, wasn't he, a brand of football that he was looking for. Whether or not this appointment is about that, Jim. Whether or not he wants to see attractive football, of course he wants to see a trophy being won. But it doesn't really strike any fear into me, no. As Conte did. He was a proven winner. Of course, he arrived here 7 years ago when Pep did in that first season when he was without a trophy. He was very pragmatic, laid down the law very quickly, and they weren't able to follow.
Postecoglou is a proven winner.
5 trophies from 6 in his domestic league the last 2 years proves that, Jim. It's a different expectation when you go to Spurs. I know. Look, Celtic is an incredible, massive football club.
Well, many would argue it's bigger than Tottenham.
Yes, but when you're going out across to the Premier League, when you think of the rivalry that's going to be, I mean, Man City champions, and you've got Chelsea now will re-emerge, Liverpool, Manchester United, you've got Arsenal. They are a very big fish in what you could say is a tiny little pond.
Well, I mean, when you look at it, I thought Martin Samuel in the Sunday Times, Simon, nailed it. Spurs are not in Europe next season, haven't won a trophy since 2008, and the league title since 1961. Maybe without Harry Kane or watching him wind down the final year of his contract. Why is Postecoglou so beneath Tottenham? He's won 7 trophies in 3 countries since Spurs last made room on their shelf.
Yeah, but I wonder which sensible observers would suggest that Postecoglou was beneath Tottenham. I think emotional reactions where you want to look at the person that's running the football club and suggest that any decisions he makes, like the other day, the narrative that was being created in the conversation was that everyone's turning Tottenham down, until we pushed back a little bit with Sam and found out that Tottenham had turned down Luis Enrique. So then you've got to start saying, well, maybe Tottenham didn't want Nagelsmann, or maybe they didn't want these people. Maybe it is a two-way transaction here. I think listen, it doesn't have a stellar feel about it, because people are going to suggest it because managers they never heard of. I guarantee you, poll the Tottenham fans, tell me the achievements of Arne Slot about 2 months ago, and most of them would have gone, I don't know.
Spot on.
Because they didn't get him, then that tells you something about Levy's Tottenham Hotspur right now.
Yeah.
I think Postecoglou has the chops to work with Daniel, which is not an easy feat, because I don't suspect and never made the case that he's easy to work with. That's not the point I've ever made. I've always made the point about having a bit of balance in the conversation rather than this constant vilification, which I don't like of anybody. I don't like it when it was done to him by Ferdinand and his little gang, Martin. I don't like it full stop. I don't like bullies. I don't like ganging up on people. I like equitability in a conversation. But I do not think that Postecoglou is in any shape or form beneath Tottenham Hotspur, and I wouldn't be surprised if he gets them competitive. Does he win something with them? Maybe he might nick a cup like Conte should have done in a cup quarter-final, get into a final. Different, beating Man City, different conversation. Yeah. But they should have got to a final, perhaps.
So he's arriving, though, in a moment when I don't know if the Spurs fans have ever been more frustrated in their history. So it's a difficult one for him to come into, because has he got the pedigree? Has he got? I mean, he's going to walk into something he's never experienced ever before.
I think it's great for him. I think he has the character, from what I can see, to galvanise he'll bring that fan base with him, somewhat similar, I think, to the way Klopp did with Liverpool, because I think he's an inclusive manager. I don't think he seeks to alienate. I don't think he seeks to make little islands that people sit on. He will need to have the intrinsic value of everybody being together, and I think he'll get them going. What get him going looks like.
And will it be enough for Harry Kane to sign a new deal?
Well, I mean,
is Kane bigger than the club?
Well, in the last two occasions he signed a contract, they've been appointing new managers, and we've gone, okay, Mourinho the first time, Conte the second. Is this enough to keep him there?
If you take Kane out of the equation, Jim, I mean, it's very difficult to argue where Tottenham would be under any manager right now, because his goals have propelled them into positions, not much this season, but notwithstanding, if he hadn't scored this season 28 goals or whatever he scored, where would they be?
Yeah, well, in the bottom three, someone was saying the other day.
I doubt that
but
much.
His longer-term project may or may not involve Harry Kane. That's down to Kane. I mean, Postecoglou's there to turn this club around.
Of course, and you'd like to think for Tottenham Hotspur, given the fact that they've got a prolific goal scorer that's still in very good nick and probably got 2 or 3 years of being at the very top of his game, you'd like to think Tottenham find a way to secure that.
Well, 29 points behind City. Spurs finished, by the way, Jim, in 8th position.
But that's
out of the FA Cup in the 5th round.
But that's a false
out
equivalency.
in the first round of the League Cup, and out of the last 16 of the Champions League. There's a lot of work to do.
Out of the quarter-final stage.
But I would have thought Postecoglou will embrace that, just as he did when he went in at Celtic. Incidentally, Ewan's a Celtic fan. Spurs are lucky to have him. He's a giant of a man, a real leader. He's a legend. Spurs fans, some of them are entitled petulant children. Nothing makes them happy. They don't deserve Ange. So Ewan's saying you're doing well to get him.
No, God knows. I mean, look. The reasons why Celtic fans took him to their hearts is because relatively quickly, not instantaneously, because we saw them one of the first games, didn't we? We went to the Old Firm Derby at the end of August in his first season, and you could see Celtic were the better side than Rangers, but they lost the game. And the reasons why the fans took him to his heart is because Celtic started to win everything they played in, and of course they've won most of the things they've competed in. Look, I think that he won't, if he's a leader, he's not going to be fazed by background noise, because that's what leaders don't get fazed by. They focus on their task in hand, and there will always be a vociferous minority of people that object to anything that's done by certain people.
Yeah. He
will go in there, and the noise he wants to hear is from the group that he's working with, and if that doesn't include Harry Kane, and it'd be fascinating to see what demands he can make of Daniel Levy to be able to support him economically with the transfer budgets that he may or may not need to have, and B, what's going to happen with Kane, because it's not Daniel Levy territory to run a contract down to give him away for nothing.
Yeah.
So something's got to give in this situation, and it may well be that if Madrid are in the mix for Harry, that gives him a solution.
Sure. I mean, Chris and Tamworth just totally identifies this arrogance that still exists down here. Morning, guys. Anybody who thinks Postecoglou is going to be a success at Tottenham has no idea about the game. The man has no CV to speak of prior to Celtic, and success there means absolutely nothing. Really? There's another one. I noticed one coming through. They're all at it this morning, Simon. So many doubters. I mean, it is ridiculous. It beggars belief, actually, in my mind. What has he done? We don't know enough about this guy. Well, you're about to find out. Be aware, you're about to find out, and he'll embrace the situation, I'm quite sure. He means what he says and says what he means. I mean, with pushback in some quarters, and undoubtedly there is, how patient are the Spurs fans willing to be with Ange Postecoglou? Will there be realism, or is Ange walking into a job already up against it? You can let me know. 03717 223344 810 89. More or less done as far as we gather.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.